Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the GM. It is your guy, Bulan Shay. Up next, the conversation of four. Who stays, who goes? Baltimore Ravens defense. Let's talk. So you guys know we got into the conversation of or on yesterday with the Baltimore Ravens offense. We talked about the offensive line. Is it going to be this offseason Ronnie Stanley or Patrick McCarry or neither one? And then we move to the tight end room. All of the Baltimore Ravens tight ends are free agents at the end of next season. So is it going to come down to Isaiah Likely or Mark Andrews? You see, I think that these are really pivotal conversations only because the Baltimore Ravens continue to have a tight cap situation. And we can chalk that up to being a contender. And when you're a contender, you have some cap issues, you're going to have some cap casualties and things of that nature. So I do believe that the Baltimore Ravens are going to have to make some moves offensively. Some guys will have to go just because you won't be able to keep everybody. So let's jump to the defensive side of the ball and let's talk about the oars. I think defensively, you have a young guy in Odafe Oweh who has indeed improved every season that he has been in Baltimore. But yet and still, as he's going into his fifth season, he's still not what you would consider a franchise type edge rusher. You still wouldn't consider him a number one or elite level edge rusher. He's good. He's solid against the run. He did have a double-digit sack season, which is absolutely going to drive his market value up, especially if he replicates that this next season. If he replicates a 10-sack season next year, that's going to put his market value between basically $18 to $20 million. And without having the explosiveness to get off the edge and beat his blocker with speed and close out the quarterback, be disruptive in the pocket, he's not going to be worth that for us. Now, I'm not saying he doesn't have explosion. He's super fast, super athletic, but that doesn't translate into disruptiveness. And so I don't foresee Odafe Oweh earning a contract that pays him northwards of $18 million. I just don't see that in the works for Baltimore. And so what has to happen is you got to begin to ask, okay, it's going to be Odafe Oweh if they decide to extend him this season over Kyle Hamilton. See, because Odafe Oweh's new contract is going to bleed into Kyle Hamilton's new contract. And we absolutely can bank on the fact that they're going to pay Kyle Hamilton. If nobody else gets paid, Kyle Hamilton is going to get paid. And so he's absolutely going to be the highest paid safety in the league. He's earned that. And so I think that the question of or must be answered this season. I don't think that we can just simply wait out the season and say, okay, Odafe Oweh, go test the market. And if he doesn't get his value, then he can come back and sign. I think that I would like to see a more aggressive approach where we move Odafe Oweh in order to get some compensation now. I'm not in that boat. I'm not in that mindset of, okay, we just let him walk next year and get a compensatory pick. No, I want my money. I want it now, right? And so I want my compensation now. And so I think Odafe Oweh could absolutely be a trade candidate this offseason, at least for some draft capital. We don't have to get a player in return only because we have 11 picks. Trading him for a pick would make it 12 picks. And then I think we already have a guy in-house who has a similar skill set. He doesn't have the same athleticism as Odafe, but the playing style of Tavius Robinson is very, very similar. I've always said and consistently said that Tavius Robinson is just a younger version of Odafe Oweh. And so when you look at what they do on the field, I certainly believe that he could fill in nicely for Odafe Oweh as we pursue a more dominant level pass rusher. And so I do not think that the Baltimore Ravens can extend him, nor do I want them to wait for Odafe Oweh to hit free agency next year in order to get some compensation for him. Okay, but let's continue the conversation. I think it could come down to Odafe Oweh or Cal Hamilton or Marlon Humphrey. What do I mean? Marlon Humphrey has a $25 million cap hit and an $18 million cap number, something like that. And I think that there's going to have to be something done with his contract. I do not see the Baltimore Ravens just putting him on the street. I do not see another team taking on that full value. And so, meaning of Marlon Humphrey's contract. So I believe he is due an extension, but I think it has to be for the right price. I think it has to be for the right amount. Otherwise, again, here we are. It can complicate being able to retain Cal Hamilton. And we don't want anything, whether it's Humphrey, whether it's Odafe, to complicate the signing of Cal Hamilton. Let's go one step deeper before we close out. I think at the end of next season, the Baltimore Ravens are going to need to explore the moving of Roquan Smith or Madubuike. Roquan Smith is a good linebacker, but we paid him like he was a great linebacker. And we should have never put that kind of money into Roquan Smith. And next season will be his third season. Some of and a lot of that guaranteed money will be off the books. I know if they restructure his deal this year, they're going to backload it, and that can make a mess later on. But I think he is one of the candidates, or him or Madubuike, where the Baltimore Ravens have to be willing to get off of that kind of salary. Even if it costs us in the short term, being able to unload that contract, I think could be beneficial. And because in truth, right, you're going to have a new contract for Cal Hamilton. You're going to need a new contract for Isaiah Likely. You're going to need a new contract possibly for Tyler Lindenbaum. And we'll talk about him specifically next week. You're going to need a new contract at some point for Zay, right? You may be doing a new contract for Ronnie Stanley, and everybody just can't be paid high dollar amounts and we stay competitive long term, because we don't always kill it in the draft. Now, I think this is a draft that we could kill it in. I think that the Baltimore Ravens are going to pull out some gems in this draft, and I think we're going to have at least 4 impact rotational players. This cannot be a draft that, of all the picks, only 2 guys really contribute. It cannot be a repeat of last year's draft. It can't be a repeat of Nate Wiggins and Roger Rosengarten being the only dudes that contribute, right? We're still waiting on Adisa Isaac. We're still waiting on TJ Temple. We're still waiting on Tez Walker, right? And so it can't be that kind of draft. I'm not saying they have to be starters, but they have to make an impact immediately. Any contribution is better than no contribution. So that's kind of where I am. So let me know what you guys want me to know, right? Is it Odafe Oweh or Cal Hamilton? I know the answer is easy, right? We're always going to choose Cal Hamilton over Odafe. We're always going to choose Cal Hamilton over Marlon Humphrey. But that's why it's super, super important to watch what the Ravens do this offseason as it pertains to those guys who need extensions, who deserve extensions, who are eligible for extensions, and also who actually gets one. So listen, I'm your guy Boulanger. This is the GM, and I'm out.